July 29th. So we're asking families with babies, kids, teens to count the reading that they do in between those two dates during June and July. As of today, we've already had several hundred kids and teens and families sign up and get pre-registered for the program, which is a really great thing, and we're really looking forward to that this summer. Young people will be able to pick the zone that they need to be in based on their age. So, families with young babies can participate in our pre reading early literacy activities if they've got a little one in the home from ages 0 to 2, and that's called baby bookworms. They do some fun early literacy learning activities together with common items that you might find in the home, and as they're on the go in supermarkets and parks and all the places where families like to be. Now, for kids ages 3 through 11, we have our Kids Read program. And Kids Read is going to challenge those kiddos to be read to if they're a little too young to read on their own, or to read themselves for prizes. Okay, they're also going to get some prizes too. They've got prize levels at 200, 400, and 1,000 minutes. And if they decide to take it all the way to 2,000 minutes, we will give them a drawing into our grand prize drawing at the end of the summer. So they've got a stretch goal to kind of go for. Our teens, of course, are also invited to participate. Ages 12 through 18 are invited to be part of Teens Read. And they have the same goals to meet as the kids do: 200, 400, 1,000 minutes, as well as that 2,000-minute stretch goal to be entered in our grand prize drawings. We've got some great sponsors this year. Some of our longtime partners have donated wonderful prizes. Friends of the Library, of course, have donated a free book to finishers, as well as some of our longtime partners like Spangles and Carlos O'Kelly's, Carousel Skate. All of those sponsors are named on our summer reading website. If you go to wichitalibrary.org/summer reading, that's going to be where we're going to point people to find the program that's right for them, to get pre-registered, to learn about our sponsors and our prizes, and all of the good things that are happening this summer. Kids can come back starting July 1st to pick up their exciting prizes. No matter what level they reach, we've got a little something for them. And all summer long, of course, we have some entertaining programming. And this year, we're very pleased to say it's both virtual and in person. We've got some different options for families who have some different comfort levels. So, for example, while all of our traditional style story times are going to be available by registering on our website and getting a Vimeo link, you can also come on Mondays. We're going to host some wonderful live in the park events at Nafscore Park in the morning and Clap Park in the afternoon. And we're going to host such wonderful performers like Mr. Stinky Feet, the Flying Debris Show, Sugar Free All Stars, and more. There's going to be some nice live outdoor events in addition to our virtual events that we will also be offering. So we've got a combination of really great things for young people to do this summer. They can read on their own, participate in the summer reading program, do those early learning activities, and earn prizes that way. They can also entertain themselves online with some of our story times and activities. I know that we've got a couple activities where they're going to be able to come by and pick up pre-prepared materials and then participate at home. Or, as we're pleased to say, we do have some of those in-person events at some of our library locations and at Nafscore Park and Clap Park. We're really enthused about this summer. We hope thousands of kids will participate. We're really looking forward to having it be more, quote, normal in a way. And we're excited for everybody to know about summer reading because it's free, it's open to the public, and of course, brought to you by Wichita Public Library. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions from the board for Erin? I don't hear any. Erin, thank you very much. We appreciate your report and everything you do for us, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, meeting has been called to order. The next item will be the approval of the agenda. Everybody should have received their packet. The agenda was included. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? If you make a motion, please just state your name or the second, and we'll go from there. Is there a motion?
This is Shannon. I so move.
Second, Tadano.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anybody from the public to comment today? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go on. Next item will be the minutes, approval of the minutes of the April 2021 Board of Directors meeting. Want to make a shout out, if I may, real quick before we have the approval, that we always appreciate the professionalism of the minutes. This month is no difference, so thank you very much. And also, I would like to mention, and we sometimes don't do this very often, but in our packet, we have other news, recent raving fan stories, and service highlights. I know for one, I always appreciate reading what's going on in the system and at the branches and the advanced learning library downtown. So thank you for putting that information in our board packet every month. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Chuck, so move.
Thank you, Chuck. Is there a second?
This is Donna, second.
Donna.
Was that Donna?
Donna Douglas.
Donna Douglas. Thank you, Donna. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda will be unfinished business. We have one item for unfinished business today, and that will be the Evergreen Center naming process.
That was the interpreter mistake. Received, received what? Coverage from KSCW and KSN. We also have mentions up on the library Facebook page, Twitter feed, and the City of Wichita website. Facebook posts. And the first thing before the submission forms. Oh, the web page and the submission forms are all up. The next step is to hang 2,000 each hanger in the Evergreen directory will be in English and Spanish and has a QR code. So people can use their phones to directly access that form. If this is successful, we maybe do this again for the rating part. As of May 11th, we have received 81 possible names. So we may have a good selection to choose from. Finally, there's an article in this morning's Eagle about empowering Evergreen. Empower Evergreen. They're going to do some details on the history of the Evergreen and the calendar. It's a useful reminder for what is in stake in the and the good choices of names. Any questions?
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions for Jonathan? Very good. Hearing none, we'll go on. Thank you, Jonathan. That concludes our unfinished business. Under new business, we have the April 21 finance report and bills. Since we have no committee meetings, I'll go ahead and give that information if that's okay. First, we had the revenue report, which showed budgeted $487,629. The received in month was $25,724.95. Year to date, $78,954.76. For the bills, general fund bills for April, I believe we had 3 pay periods this month. The total amount was $972,777.47. Under the grant fund bills, we had $6,358.85. Under the gift and memorial fund bills, $11,685.81 for a total of $990,822.13. Before making a motion to approve, I'll point out that within the general fund summary report, we did have natural gas at $25,078.17. Which of course is more than we would have budgeted earlier in the year. And then I'm going to ask Christy to respond to this. We had $4,710 as an encumbrance for.
Right. That's for the sidewalks that they will be adding to the Alford grant, where we have the stepping stones that were put in several years ago that have become a tripping hazard. I'll let you know later in my report the status of the sidewalks, and they're putting in one here at this facility, the Advanced Learning Library, from the north parking lot to the west entrance, where people naturally have created a pathway. And so that amount is encumbered for that payment.
Okay. I didn't see anything else in the general fund summary report that spoke to me. Does any board member have any questions regarding any of the financials for April?
Chuck here.
Yeah,
You
Chuck?
said there were, that's a higher total than normal, but you said there were 3 pay periods in April. So that looks okay then with that in mind?
Right. Last month in April for the March, we had 2 pay periods and the general fund bills were $676,000. This month, $972,000 and change, which would indicate the 3rd pay period.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions regarding the April general fund summary report before making a motion to approve? Hearing none, I will make the motion to approve the paying of and acceptance of the finance report and bills for April 2021. Is there a second?
Chuck here, second.
We have a second by Chuck. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item under new business will be the election of officers for the next 12 months. And I'm going to turn that over to Jonathan.
We submitted our submission, our supplement to your packet. We propose for president Kevin McWhorter, for second vice president
First vice president.
thank you, to Don Neal, and the second vice president Erin Brock. Secretary Shannon Littlejohn, and treasurer Jonathan Winkler. Assistant secretary treasurer would be Christy Dowell.
Very good. Like, on behalf of the board, thank the nominating committee for their efforts in getting the nominees together for the next 12 months. That being said, Jonathan, are you making a motion to accept the slate as presented?
I am.
Very good.
I also just wanted to say that we try to give everyone the position that they asked for.
Very good. We have a motion to accept this slate of officers by Jonathan. Is there a second?
This is Shelby. I'll second.
Thank you, Shelby. We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much, and we appreciate everybody's service to the Advanced Learning Library Board of Directors and the officers. Next on the agenda will be the Internet Access and Acceptable Use Policy Reaffirmation.
Okay, so as part of the Kansas Children's Internet Protection Act, the governing board must review the internet access policy at least once every 3 years. And we have decided to do that on an annual basis to ensure that we don't have a lapse in compliance with this. And so we did the same last year, I believe in August, and normally we do it in around May. So we're trying to get back on our same time frame for this annual review. You have in front of you the Internet Access and Acceptable Use Policy, and it is recommended that the library board affirm the library's Internet Access and Acceptable Use Policy and direct staff to report completion of the policy review to the State Library of Kansas.
Very good. The information is in your packet. Is there are there any comments or any questions for staff regarding this particular item of the agenda? Hearing none, we do need a motion to reaffirm, and
I so move.
we have a recommendation or a motion by Jonathan that the library board affirm the library's internet access and acceptable use policy and direct staff to report completion of the policy review to the State Library of Kansas.
Second.
Motion by
Sedano.
Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second, Sedano.
Thank you. Second by Tadana. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda would be item number 7, special committee reports, but of course, we're still not meeting in committees, so we'll go on to the next item, which would be support organization reports. Amanda, we'll start with you. Is Amanda with us?
Yep, I'm right here. Hope
Thank
everyone's
you.
doing okay today. I don't have that many updates today to share because we're still kind of working through a couple of things. So next month, definitely I'll have more, but just wanted to give kind of an update that the bookstore is open and doing well. The scheduling that we've been doing is working out. So we hope that the response continues with that into the summer months. And then we will be spending some time in the next month kind of coordinating help for our back room. Especially, we haven't decided when we're going to start taking in donations yet, but we're hoping sometime in June. So, but still kind of working through that. But once that starts, we're definitely going to be needing volunteers. And so the board's kind of stepping in until that happens. And then we're also looking into potential opportunities for some more book sales through the summer to get rid of some of our backlog of books. So we're hoping that we can kind of look into outdoor opportunities and just fun events that way, selling books, at tables like we used to do at the fairs and things like that. So we're hopefully going to have more updates next month on that.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. We appreciate everything the Friends does for the Adventist Learning Library. Any questions for Amanda? Hearing none. Amanda, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Next would be Christy Obert from the foundation. Hello, Christy.
Hello, it's good to be with you all today. Well, the first thing I want to say is the incredible job that the library staff have done, and the directors in particular, in supporting me and the foundation the last couple of weeks, or really months, in grant writing. So we had an opportunity to submit a federal grant through the American Rescue Plan, and I had never written a federal grant. I've been doing grant writing for 20 years, but I had never worked for an organization where that was my responsibility to do the federal grants. And all of the staff, but I really want to give a special shout out to Sarah Kittrell. She basically did the entire narrative and application, and I just am so grateful for her support. And I've got to say, I've been a working person for many decades, and I've really never experienced the kind of collaboration I did on this last project. It was kind of a have to get it done in 2.2 seconds kind of deal. And everybody was just so helpful and supportive of me and of the project itself. And I just want to really thank and recognize the library staff for that, because it was really just incredible. So we may or may not get this grant, but it's for the request amount is $50,000. So that's quite a bit of money for us. And Sarah, would you like to talk a little bit about the areas of preservation that the grant will cover if we do get it?
Sure. So we ended up focusing on items in our special collections research pavilion. And one thing that we are in the process of starting to implement is creating an online home for digitized special collections that we have. We have about 600 digitized photographs, only 300 of which are available currently. So we are looking to work with a local company called Bitco Inc. To do digitization of pretty much our entire photograph collection, including our aerial maps, which are, if not unique, are very rare. And document the development of Sedgwick County and Wichita from prior to World War II through 1997. And then we are also looking to do some enhanced preservation work on some of the more fragile areas of our collection, including completing a project that was begun in the 1990s, from what I understand, to encapsulate our map collection so that they can be used by customers in-house rather than looking at them from a distance. So yes, $50,000 worth of conservation and digitization.
Thank you, Sarah. And I do want to say that this is just the first of several federal grants through the American Rescue Plan that we plan to submit. And now that we've done our first one together, so the team that worked on it, this was all of ours first federal grant. And so we've got one under our belt. Hopefully we'll get it, but we are planning on doing more. The next major grant that we're working on is through the City of Wichita Cultural Arts Program. And we had been getting anywhere between like $25,000 and $70,000. The average prior to 2020 was $42,000 in funding from the Cultural Arts Program. And recently, the last 2 years, that funding has been cut dramatically. And our scores that they have given us as feedback for how we have written the grant have been low. So this year, again, I have reached out to the library to help with this project, the library staff. And we tomorrow actually have a Zoom meeting scheduled with the cultural arts chair and vice chair to see what we can do to improve our application. We cannot lobby any committee member for funding, but we can ask the chair and vice chair what we can do to improve our grant. So that's something that we have just really been every one of the leadership team members on the library staff have contributed to this grant, and so have I and Cambry. So, we're really giving it 100%, and we will be requesting $50,200 in that grant. So we're hoping that those outcomes will change with the extra work that we've done, and that we'll receive that higher level of funding again. We have good news to share about an exciting new project. It's a pilot program that is going to be started in our library, and we received $20,000, and we haven't actually gotten the check, but we have gotten a verbal and written communication that we've been awarded the $20,000, and that will go for a new hotspot program. And Jeff, did you want to articulate or share any details about that?
We're still working on quite a bit of the details, but we will be getting 50 hotspots to circulate with that grant. We're looking at checkout periods probably around the 14-day or 2 weeks, but again, we're working on those. Ideally, we'll be pushing these out in mid-June, depending on how the funding comes in, but we've got a small team working on that right now, and we should have a lot more information here pretty soon. But yeah, it's definitely 50 devices, unlimited, so customers don't have to worry about data plans or anything like that. They'll be able to search as much as they need to do that. And the devices are very easy to use, so we don't anticipate much problems with that as well. So yeah, we should have a lot more information come mid-June. So
I'm really excited about this pilot program because it really pinpoints and helps the underserved in our communities. As most people have cell phones, they do not have internet. There's about 25% of our population that does not have internet in their homes. And that's just something I kind of took for granted. Well, everybody's got internet, right? Or they have it on their phone or something. Well, that's not the case. And although they may have a small data package on their phone that they get, it's not enough to really do any kind of internet work as far as like filing for unemployment or updating a resume or anything like that. So this grant really will be filling a gap that is in our community right now and help us to better serve the underserved in our city. And also the Latner family has suggested that they would, if the results were good, and I know that they will be for this pilot program, that they would consider funding it for a second year next year. So we'll keep our fingers crossed there, but I'm just really excited about that big gift. And that's all I've got in my report for the library board, but just thank you as always for your support and for all you do for the community. It makes a real difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Donana, you have a question for Christy?
I do. I have a few. Okay, so I'll try to work back. Wait, can you hear me well?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll try to work backwards. The hotspot device pilot, you said that would be funded by what did you say, Latner?
The Latner Family Foundation.
And
it's Lattner.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. What do you have you decided what the checkout process for the hotspot devices will be? Like who will have access and how will you manage that?
We're still working through that. For devices like that, and Sarah can correct me, we tend to do over 18 just because of the cost implications if it's lost. But it would be for generally customers 18 and older for a couple of weeks or longer, depending on what we end up with. We have to balance out, since there are 50, sort of how much time we can give someone, but we also don't want to try to also get as many customers as we can that need them to have them. So it's, those kind of circulation questions tend to be sort of a balancing act between need and amount. So Sarah, anything else?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. But yeah, so these will be under our Library of Things heading, which we are using for nearly all of our non-traditional materials that we are introducing. And I think perhaps more with the hotspots than with other aspects of that collection, we will be willing to adapt as we see the need for use. If it ends up that people need them longer than 14 days or 28 days, we can look at that, those sorts of things. So, but yes, adults, there needs to be an adult card to check the items out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my second question is about, okay, so the I think you said the cultural funding grant, is that correct?
That's correct.
Good. Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was actually getting ready to drop the email to contact you about. I just wanted to know, okay, what is the suggested or proposed use for that particular grant?
For cultural arts programming in the institution that you represent, and because we are a support organization, so a city entity, so the library can't request the funding because they're a city entity, but as the foundation and the support organization for the library, we can, and we have in the past. So cultural arts programming is anything that has to do with, actually, is Julie on the line? I guess not. So, okay. So,
Julie.
Yes, I am. I couldn't get myself unmuted.
Hi, Julie Sherwood. The question was, what does the cultural arts funding do for the library?
Cultural arts funding is the way that we have in the past supported, for example, our film licensing. We have used it to pay for some of the children's performers in the summer. We have used it for marketing of programs. We have used it for various special. We especially look for things that are cultural or arts related, and we've had some trouble with understanding whether they will or won't pay directly for the costs of the fees of the presenters, or whether it's meant to be more platform related, such as a film license. which allows us to show films but doesn't pay for the film. So it's kind of, we're just trying to get more clarity on what we're allowed to use their funding for. But it's intended to be able to give the library the ability to do cultural and arts programming.
Okay, and so, okay, so it's just for programming. The reason I had asked that question is, well, we had previous conversation about ways we could potentially fund artwork at the new library branch. And I thought maybe it could fit in this particular grant that we've been receiving, but I didn't know how. So I thought that's what I was going to reach out and see if there's any way to write it into the grant and request, so that we could, you know, I don't know. I was going to say kill two birds with one stone, but a lot of birds. But you know what I mean. So I don't know. Just thought I'd throw that out as a suggestion.
Well, and I will make a note of that and see what, and just read the application very thoroughly. I mean, it does support artwork, so, but there's also, I know, other funding opportunities through the cultural arts program or through the cultural arts agency through the city of Wichita that may be a better fit for a specific art piece request, but we'll take that under advisement. We're still very much, because our meeting is tomorrow with the chair and vice chair of the committee, we're still very much in, you know, the working pieces of the grant. So, you know, if we're able to include that and feel like it's a good fit, in fact, that could even be a question we could ask them tomorrow.
Yeah, could you? Because I would want to know if they see it as a fit, how could it fit? What could we do? You know.
Very good. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, you have a question?
Yes, I just kind of following up on what Don said. Last time we had some concerns about the appearance of the Ron Walters branch, and going by there, that looks to me, the Harry Street side of that building would be a great place for a mural. And I believe that's concrete block construction, which is a little different. I think you could do a better job on something like that than you can on brick. I wonder if we could look into that. I really think that, boy, and you've got high traffic going up and down Harry Street, and it'd be a great place for a nice mural there, and maybe it could be tied into that cultural grant we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
There is the issue that it's a leased facility. Lauren has a question or comment.
Lauren?
I was going to say we should remember it's a leased facility.
Right.
And, but that doesn't mean that artwork has to go directly onto walls. You can, you know, construct things that then are more temporary in a way. You know, there's creative ways around that sort of thing that, you know, if the landowner is not appreciating painting directly on the building, that there's sculptures and other things that could be more temporary.
Is it possible to reach out and ask if that's a possibility? I know we've talked about that a few times. I guess we need to know at this point if it's something that we can do.
I can reach out to the property owner and manager to see if that's anything they would be interested in a discussion about. Again, there'd be the question of funding, there'd be the question of upkeep, there, you know, the question of if we move out of the facility, then it, you know, is if it's affixed to the building, again, it's theirs, not ours. So there'd be probably quite a bit more conversation to go into it, but I can reach out to see if there would be any interest at all in having or starting a conversation on that with them.
Thank you.
Chuck, this is Donna. I do have a comment for Chrissy. Chrissy, I serve on another board. We applied for the same grant. and fundings have been cut. That might be something that's going on across the board, but I just thought I'd let you know that, share that with you. And I'll call you later to share some of the things that they do look for, if you'd like. That's all I wanted to share. Thanks.
And Chuck, you have another question?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce, I realize that's a leased facility. However, the owner there was very open to suggestions and things when we got that. And, you know, you can always, if we ever give that lease up, you can always paint over it. I just think it's worth asking. I think it's a great kind of a natural place for a mural, and who knows, the owner might be happy to do that anyway.
Sure.
Jonathan has a question.
Jonathan? Then Laura.
A question about the cultural programming grant.
Are
we getting the same share of the pot that we used to? In other words, are we losing out because the pot is smaller? Or because they don't like us anymore?
Who's the question?
Christy, did you have any thoughts on that? I don't know if you're still with us.
I think Christy lost her connection.
Okay. I don't think that we're still getting the same percentage of the total amount. I believe that there's been some issues with the way the grant was written. And so that's why we are going to have the meeting to help improve
is now
our
joining
application in order to get a larger amount, like we used to in past years. But this year, I do think that there is an issue of some decreased funding as well.
And so we have to figure out how to get them to like us again.
Lauren, do you have a question?
I do. I'm curious how we make a decision about how, like, what type of art this funding would be used for, because if they're writing a grant, do they want input from board members or those who may be interested in helping steer what kind of art this may be?
Well, hi everyone. It's Christy Oberg, and I'm back. What we have typically done before is, so this money is for operational expenses, and what we have typically done before is worked with the library staff and ourselves and the foundation to write the grant. So we have not in the past reached out for input from board members. It's not that we wouldn't want to hear your opinions. I think that it's really important for us to even find out whether or not a particular art piece like what you were describing, and I was kicked off the meeting and tried to rejoin 3 times, so I missed a lot of what was said. But I think the very first thing we need to do tomorrow is see if we could even, if that would even fit in their funding criteria.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Any other questions or comments? What I think we'll do is we'll have Christy Dell investigate this and work with Christy Oberg and report back to us as unfinished business next month. Would that be possible?
We can. The grant itself is due June, is it June 4th?
That is correct.
So that'll be before our next meeting.
Okay.
But I will reach out to the property owner and manager to see if that's something that they would even be interested in. We will ask at tomorrow's meeting to see if that something like that would fit in the grant criteria, see if that would even be a possibility.
Okay.
So
I think you've got a pretty good idea as to what the board would like to see and find out. Christie will report back to us. Very good. Christie Oberg, are you still with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the report. We appreciate all of your efforts, and Cambria as well. And the board is always glad to hear good comments as to the collaboration between a support group and the staff. And we appreciate everybody's efforts.
Does Lauren still have a question?
Lauren, your hand is still up. Do you still have a question?
No.
Thank you. Hand is gone. Okay, next on our support organization report, Julie Crawford with Genealogical. Julie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is Julie from the WGS. I just want to report that we had in April 81 people at our monthly meeting, and then in May we had 31 people. One thing more is traditionally we have an annual conference in October, and of course we missed out on last year's for COVID. But as of right now, we are hoping that we will be able to be in person this year. They have it traditionally we've had it at the Hughes Metroplex, through WSU, because of the number of people that come, and we get a nationally recognized speaker. So as of right now, a lot of things have to fall in place, with all the capacity requirements of WSU and all that sort of thing. And so we're still going forward to see if things can be worked out, that we will have it in October, like we usually do.
Okay.
So that's pretty much all I've got.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions for Julie from the board? Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Julie. Have a great day.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to the Director of Libraries report. Christie.
Okay, so last week, Vice Mayor Johnson did make an appointment to fill the vacant District 1 Library Board position. Daisha Eaton will be our new Library Board member. She was going to come this month, but something came up just today. So we hope to see her next month, where you can meet her. This morning, I went to the City Council meeting and received an award for our department, among several other city departments, for exceeding our goal for utilizing emerging and disadvantaged businesses for goods and services. So we got a, you probably can't see it very well, it's clear, but a little award for that. So we try to meet that goal each year. I have some facility updates. We're working with Public Works and Utilities to do touch-up paint on marred walls in the public area of the first floor of the Advanced Learning Library. In this building, we've also had door stops installed on the sliding glass doors in the research pavilion, so they can be locked in place when they're open. This helps to prevent breakage of those doors. Sycamore Street was reopened, and therefore we also reopened our east entrance in this building. They're still working on some stonework, but the street will remain open during that work. Contractors, as we talked a little bit ago, are in the process of adding sidewalks to this building at the Advanced Learning Library and the Alfred Branch. They did complete the sidewalk at the Alfred Branch Library, and then those decorative stepping stones were relocated into the landscape area. They anticipate completing the sidewalk at the Advanced Learning Library still this week, but rain has played a factor in that, I'm sure, so we'll hope that that gets finished soon. Branch facilities, library staff met with staff from the City Planning Department and the property manager of the Walters Branch to conduct a site review to determine the best location for a bike rack. This was another thing that we discussed at last meeting when we were talking about the Walters Branch Library. And the property manager spoke with the owner and he gave the approval. So we are going to move forward with the purchase and installation of a bike rack at Walters. While we were there, we also talked with her and she said that now that the weather is getting nicer, they're making plans to plant some type of flowers or landscape in that empty planting bed that's to the west, right of the entrance in the window area of that branch. So that will add some decorative interest to that area there in the cement. And so they may do potted plants or they might plant something. They're not sure. They have a couple who maintains all of those properties in that mall area and does the planting. So they will maintain that. So we were excited to hear that and knew that the customers and that you all would also be happy to hear that. We received permits for the start of construction on the Evergreen branch remodel. Last Friday, we had our first site meeting, and we will have bi-weekly site meetings to stay up to date with construction on that facility. I would like to make a reminder that if you haven't returned your conflict of interest form, to please do that. And if you need me to send you another copy, just let me know. Or if you would like one mailed to you so you can fill it out and mail it back, just let me know. We'd be happy to do that. And then I just had a question for you, just to get your input or your thoughts. Tomorrow I'll be joining our weekly department directors meeting, and we're going to be discussing, I believe, the topic of some of the CDC guideline changes that you may all have heard about with the reduced guidelines for masks and social distancing for those who are vaccinated. And if you all had any thoughts or concerns or any input for me before I go to the meeting, so I can keep that in mind as we have the conversation, then I would be most appreciative if you would like to note anything.
Yes.
You ready for that discussion now?
Sure.
Jonathan?
What does staff think of dropping the mask requirement?
We haven't discussed in total with supervisors the dropping of the mask because we haven't heard what the city's position is going to be. The city's been in communication with Sedgwick County Health Department. OSHA was going to be putting out some information in the next few weeks that they haven't done yet either. So we aren't making a recommendation yet at this point either. I think this meeting will kind of be the start of the conversation. And that's why I would like to just hear everybody's input when I go into that meeting. Staff and customers are divided generally on these topics. So we have some who may support it while we have some who have concerns about it. So it's always a balancing to try to keep staff and customers protected and safe in these changing conditions.
We've taken a generally conservative approach towards these closures and quarantining of physical materials, asking people to wear their masks. So I would suggest we continue as we have been to start with. But at some point, masks will have to go.
Thank you. Justin, your hand is up.
So I have plenty of thoughts and plenty of experience, as do you. First and foremost, I would tell you, unless the city or county is going to provide enforcement strategies, optional or following CDC isn't an option. Because the first thing you're going to hit is well, how do you know that those that are not vaccinated are telling you the truth? And your answer is simply, well, I don't. Then the discussion quickly turns into, so you've adopted a policy that is promoting people to lie. Then it's going to quickly go into discrimination. Then it's going to go into HIPAA. So if the city is contemplating a policy that is following the original CDC guidance of vaccinated people can do X, Y, and Z, and there is not enforcement, it's a false policy. And we've learned that, and we learned it quickly. So whatever's going to happen, I think that's in the end, I guess, for the city council. But if you have insight, I would recommend that the CDC guidance without enforcement is not a policy.
Thank you. Chuck?
Well, I think the CDC policy, if I'm understanding correctly now, is that indoors, if you're vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. I understand that not everybody's going to be honest about it. And I know that we've got a lot of young people that have not been vaccinated yet by not of their own choice, but just because it hadn't gotten to that point. But I would suggest that I think as of June 1st, if the CDC recommendation is only those who are not vaccinated should be wearing masks, I think we should follow that. And, you know, if a person is not vaccinated and not wearing a mask and they want to take the risk, I guess that's their foolishness to do. But, you know, hopefully most people will be honest about it. I know that may be wishful thinking, but that's my suggestion.
Jonathan again.
Jonathan?
Well, I asked what staff was thinking because I don't want to risk if people come in unvaccinated and without masks. We have a responsibility to them. So that's why I suggested that we should keep masking up for the time being.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comments, questions? Very good. Christy, you've got some
I
information.
think Tadana might. Tadana, do you have a?
I was trying to gather my thoughts. I agree with all the commentary, so it's kind of hard to. This one's a hard one, but I do agree with the self-management piece there. There's got to be a self-accountability piece at some point, you know. But I also think that there should be strong messaging of the risk for not wearing a mask if you are not vaccinated, so that people are still informed as to the decisions they're making. And vice versa, you know, just, you know, having a vaccine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but having the vaccine does not mean you cannot spread it to others, right? Is that correct? You could potentially still spread it, be a spreader. And so
testing that. That is what they're thinking. I think they're still testing it.
So with that being said, that is something that people that have been vaccinated need to be made aware of, and that they need not be careless just because they have a vaccine. You know, it's for their own protection, but being aware of how you're interacting in other people's spaces is something that still needs to be taken into account, especially public spaces.
All right. Thank you, Tadana. Anybody else?
One more thing.
Jonathan?
My understanding is that the CDC said that vaccinated people can do without masks. Partly because when they do get COVID, the viral loads are much less or lower. So they're less likely to spread it. My main concern about that CDC change, it leaves us wide open. If a variant comes along that is vaccine resistant, I think that it's a big thing that could blow this up. It already has in Britain.
That I agree with. So, what was the social distancing should still be at the top of the list, mask or no mask, what are the things that we're supposed to be teaching? Once we get beyond this, social distancing, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you don't go out in public when you're sick. All of those things need to be a part of the messaging so people know that this is still part of your accountability piece. Getting the vaccine was one step. But it's one step among many.
Right. Anyone else? Comments? Okay. I think Christy's got a wide range of opinions on the matter, and she'll take it, give us a report back as to what's decided.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments to the director regarding the Director of Libraries report as a whole? Christine, anything else you want to tell us?
I think so.
Very good. Are there any announcements to be made? Hearing none, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time today. And we are adjourned. We'll see you next month.